Welcome back to Deep Links, where we go deeper into the topics that really matter, the stuff the mainstream media won't touch. Today, we're tackling a topic that's at the heart of the fight for America's soul: patriotism versus globalism. This isn't just about politics. It's about the future of our nation, and whether or not we, the American people, will be able to decide our own destiny, or if we'll be sold out to foreign powers, global elites, and massive corporations that couldn't care less about us. We're in a battle for the future of America, and it's not just between the right and the left. It's between those who want to put America first and those who believe in globalism, a system where America is no longer a sovereign nation, but just a cog in a giant, borderless machine controlled by the world's elites. So today, we're going to break down what patriotism and globalism really mean, why they're in direct conflict, and what's at stake for you, your family, and the future generations of Americans. Part 1. What is patriotism? Let's start with patriotism. What does it mean to be a patriot? I'm not talking about the watered-down version of patriotism the left likes to push, where they claim you're patriotic if you pay your taxes and vote once every 4 years. I'm talking about real, deep love for this country. Patriotism means you believe in America's values, its culture, and its traditions. It's about recognizing that the United States is the greatest country on earth, and it didn't get that way by accident. Patriotism means understanding the sacrifices that have been made to keep this country free, the soldiers who fought and died, the founders who risked everything to break away from tyranny, and the everyday Americans who built this nation with their hard work. It means believing that America is exceptional, not just another country on the world map, but a shining city on a hill, a nation built on freedom, individual rights, and opportunity. But here's the key. Being a patriot also means wanting to protect what makes this country great. It means standing up to threats, both foreign and domestic. It means saying no when the global elites try to strip away our sovereignty, our borders, and our way of life. Because at the end of the day, if we're not putting America first, who will? Part 2. The globalist agenda. Now let's talk about globalism. Globalism is the idea that countries shouldn't be focused on their own interests, but on the interests of the global community. Sounds nice, right? Like, we should all just get along, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya. But the reality of globalism is far darker. Globalism means handing over our control to foreign powers, multinational corporations, and unelected bureaucrats who don't give a damn about America or the American people. Under globalism, borders become meaningless. It's about creating a world where people, goods, and services can move freely, without any concern for national security, local economies, or even culture. It's about breaking down the distinctions that make nations unique, and instead creating a giant, homogenized world where decisions are made by elites in Brussels, Beijing, or Davos, rather than by Washington, D.C., or your local town hall. And guess what? These globalists don't care about you. They care about profits. They care about control. They care about creating a system where they can pull the strings behind the scenes, and where the people, we the people, have less and less say over our own lives. They want us to be dependent, weak, and willing to accept whatever they decide is best for us. Let's look at a few ways globalism is already creeping into our lives. 1. Trade deals that hurt American workers. Look at these trade deals the globalists love to push: NAFTA, TPP, and all the rest. They're sold to us as great for the economy. But the reality is they ship American jobs overseas to countries with cheap labor, while American workers are left behind. Factories close down, towns are devastated, and families are left scrambling to find new work, all while the elites are raking in profits. Trump was right when he said these deals are a disaster for American workers. Globalists don't care if you lose your job. They just want to maximize their bottom line. That's why we see manufacturing plants moving to China or Mexico, while we import cheap, low-quality goods. It's all about cutting costs, but those costs are being cut at the expense of American livelihoods. 2. Open borders and immigration. Globalists love open borders. They love the idea that people should be able to move freely across countries with no restrictions. Why? Because they want cheap labor. They want a system where they can pay people pennies on the dollar, while at the same time driving down wages for American workers. But it's not just about cheap labor. Open borders also weaken national security. When you have thousands of people streaming into the country illegally, you don't know who they are, where they're coming from, or what they're bringing with them. And yet, globalists act like it's somehow compassionate to let this happen. Let me tell you, there's nothing compassionate about allowing criminals, drug traffickers, and even terrorists to slip through our borders. We saw this play out with the migrant caravans that were heading toward our southern border a few years back. The globalists wanted us to just let them in, no questions asked. And when Trump said no, when he stood up for American sovereignty, the media lost their minds. But at the end of the day, a country without borders isn't a country. And that's exactly what the globalists want. 3. Climate change as a tool for control. Another way globalists are pushing their agenda is through the climate change movement. Now, don't get me wrong. Protecting the environment is important. But what the globalists are doing is using climate change as a tool for control. They want to implement massive regulations on businesses, taxes on energy, and all sorts of policies that will crush the average American, all while doing nothing to stop China, India, or other polluting nations from continuing their practices. The Paris Climate Agreement is a perfect example of this. It's a deal where America is expected to cut our emissions and pay billions into a global fund, while countries like China get to keep polluting for years to come. It's a classic case of globalists trying to redistribute wealth from the United States to other countries, while weakening our economy and handing over control to international organizations. Part 3. The impact on American culture. Globalism doesn't just threaten our economy and security. It's also a direct attack on American culture. Under globalism, the idea of a distinct, unique American identity is something to be erased, not celebrated. We see this happening already with the rise of multiculturalism and the push to make America a melting pot where everyone's culture is respected, except for our own. You've seen it. Schools refusing to say the Pledge of Allegiance, American history being erased or rewritten to fit some woke narrative, and traditional American holidays being overshadowed by celebrations of other cultures. Now, don't get me wrong, diversity can be a good thing, but not when it comes at the cost of our own national identity. Globalists want us to believe that all cultures are equal, that America's founding principles don't matter, and that we should be ashamed of our past. This attack on culture goes hand in hand with the push for political correctness. If you dare to stand up for American values, if you say that English should be the official language, or if you believe that American laws and customs should be respected, you're branded a racist or a xenophobe. It's a way to shut down debate and silence patriots who want to defend this country. But here's the truth. American culture is worth fighting for. Our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our history of freedom and individualism. These are the things that make America special. Globalists want to erase these distinctions because they see America as just another country to be managed, not as the beacon of liberty that it truly is. Part 4. The role of the global elites. So who are these globalists? Who's behind this push to weaken America and create a borderless world? The answer lies in the global elites, the billionaires, the politicians, and the bureaucrats who think they know better than you and me. These are the people who gather in places like Davos at the World Economic Forum, where they sip champagne and talk about how to shape the future of the world. These elites are completely out of touch with the everyday struggles of Americans. They don't care about your job, your family, or your community. All they care about is power and control. And make no mistake, they have an agenda. One, control through technology. One of the ways the global elites are trying to control us is through technology. Think about it. Who controls the flow of information in today's world? It's not you, it's not me, and it's certainly not the average American. It's big tech companies like Google, Facebook, and Twitter, companies that are in bed with the globalists and are actively working to censor conservative voices. We've seen it time and time again. Shadow banning, deplatforming, and fact-checking are all tools used by these tech giants to silence anyone who doesn't toe the globalist line. They want to create a digital world where they control the narrative and where dissenting opinions are wiped out with the click of a button. 2. Control through the financial system. Another way the global elites are trying to control us is through the financial system. They want to create a world where cash is obsolete and all transactions are done electronically. Why? Because electronic transactions can be tracked, monitored, and controlled. Imagine a world where the government, or worse, a global body, can decide whether or not you're allowed to buy something based on your social credit score. Sound far-fetched? Just look at what's happening in China right now with their social credit system. If you don't comply with the government's rules, they can restrict your ability to travel, to work, and to spend money. That's the future the globalists want for America, a world where they control every aspect of your life, from what you say online to what you buy at the grocery store. Part 5. The Fight Back, America First. So what's the solution? How do we fight back against the globalists and protect the future of America? The answer lies in the America First movement, a movement that puts patriotism over globalism and sovereignty over submission. America First means protecting American jobs by renegotiating trade deals that benefit our workers, not multinational corporations, defending our borders and ensuring that our immigration system works for the American people, not for the global elites, standing up to the climate change agenda that seeks to weaken our economy and redistribute our wealth to other countries, preserving American culture by standing up for our traditions, our history, and our way of life, limiting the power of big tech and protecting our right to free speech, rejecting the global financial system that seeks to control us through digital currency and surveillance. This is a fight we can't afford to lose, because if the globalists win, America as we know it will cease to exist. We'll be just another country, under the thumb of foreign powers and unelected elites. But here's the good news. We're not alone. Millions of Americans are waking up to the threat of globalism and are joining the fight to put America first. Whether it's through supporting patriotic leaders, voting for America First candidates, or simply standing up for your values in your own community, we can turn the tide. Conclusion: the future is in our hands. So here we are, at a crossroads. The choice is clear: patriotism or globalism. Will we stand up for our country, our values, and our way of life? Or will we surrender to the global elites who want to see America weakened and controlled? The future of America is in our hands. And make no mistake, this is a fight we can win. But it's going to take all of us standing together as patriots to defend the nation we love. Because at the end of the day, there's no place like America. There's no country as great, as free, or as full of opportunity. And that's something worth fighting for. Thanks for tuning in to Deep Links. Stay strong, stay free, and remember, America first always.